Let's get digital.
You are now tuned into Digital Dive with Homes for Heroes.
Activating video. Engaging recording. Launching Filmic Pro.
Hey everyone, Seth Jessica, Emerging Media Manager at Homes for Heroes. Welcome to our very first episode of Digital Dive with Homes for Heroes, a series of step-by-step video tutorials on marketing tools, tips, strategies that you can use to help you grow your real estate or mortgage lending business. And I thought I would kick off Digital Dive with Homes for Heroes with some video tutorials on video marketing. Now, the reason why I want to start off with video marketing is one, because I'm literally going through the process right now, so why not share a little bit of my process with you? Number two, video marketing is no longer just an important part to your overall marketing strategy. It is a necessity to your overall marketing strategy. Customers are engaging and they're building loyalty with businesses and brands who are creating content on platforms like Instagram TV, Facebook Watch, or YouTube. For any real estate agent or mortgage lender, it's really now a necessity for you to be creating video content for these platforms. So what I thought I'd do today is introduce you to one of my favorite smartphone apps that I use to record video from directly from my smartphone. And this app is called Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro is an app that you download to your smartphone and you record video on your smartphone directly from the Filmic Pro app. And what Filmic Pro does is it adds a more professional or cinematic feel to your video. Now, I know many of you are going to push back on me and say, Seth, you know what? I'm a professional mortgage lender. I'm a professional real estate agent. I'm not looking to become a professional videographer. And I totally respect that perspective, and that's a fair point. Anybody who's looking to integrate video marketing into their overall marketing strategy, first and foremost, number one, if you're looking to just get started, just do it, because there's only one way to get started, and that's just to do it. But then number two, have fun with it. Recording video is much like hosting a party. If you're not having fun with it, nobody's going to want to come. So first and foremost, just get started, and two, have fun with it. But once you've accomplished those two things, there are tools out there like Filmic Pro, which add a more professional element to your video. It's important because the competition out there on social media is real. And I'm not just talking about the local real estate agent or mortgage lender in your community as your competition. I'm referring to the smiling babies and the juggling cats. I mean, it is really hard in today's social media world to catch the attention of the audience that you're working so hard to earn. And so apps and tools like Filmic Pro will just add a more eye-catching element to your video to help it stand out and catch the attention of the audience that you're working so hard to earn. So that's what I'm going to introduce you to today with Filmic Pro and how it helps you accomplish that. But before I introduce you to Filmic Pro, I just want to throw a quick disclaimer out there that Filmic Pro, there is a cost to download it and purchase it from the App Store on your smartphone. I believe it's about $20, $25, something like that, but it's relatively inexpensive. But I stand nothing to gain financially from you purchasing and downloading the app. I have no financial investment in Filmic Pro. This video, nor am I sponsored by Filmic Pro. It's just an app that I absolutely love. I use it for my own personal and professional use, and I benefit from a lot. So I thought you guys might love it and benefit from it as well. So I wanted to share it with you guys. So now that we got that warm, fuzzy disclaimer stuff out of the way, why don't I introduce you to this great app called Filmic Pro. I'll open it up on my smartphone and introduce you to this great app. So when you open up the Filmic Pro app, you will notice it has this great interface with a lot of features. And I'm going to walk you through each one of these features and show you how to use them. So first, let's start with the audio meter on the right-hand side of the interface. This may seem like a pretty standard feature, one that might not be that big of a deal, but this is a feature that I absolutely love. I have recorded video with the built-in camera on my iPhone only to have the microphone not pick up the audio for whatever reason. I don't know if my hand was covering the microphone, but this audio meter lets me know that the recording is picking up my vocals and at the appropriate levels. When the audio meter levels are going up and down, I know that the microphone is picking up my voice. If no audio levels appear on the meter, then I know that the microphone is not picking up my voice. In addition, when the audio meters are maxing out at around negative 25 decibel level, I know that my audio is being recorded at the optimal levels. If the decibel meters turn red, I know that my audio will sound distorted. Or when the decibel meters are only maxing out at -50, I can determine that my audio will be too quiet. Audio quality is a big contributor to great video, and this audio meter gives you the confidence you need during your video recording that the microphone is picking up your voice at the appropriate audio levels. Next is the record button. The record button simply starts and stops the video recording. It's pretty simple and standard, not much else to say on that. The play icon opens the Filmic Pro folder where your Filmic Pro video files are stored. You can open and watch your recordings within the Filmic Pro app directly from within this folder. The gear wheel icon opens up a library of Filmic Pro settings, which we'll actually go over these settings in a bit more detail later. The battery bar icon shows you how much battery life your phone has left. The icon that looks like a pie chart shows you how much memory storage you have left on your phone. Both the battery and the storage icon are extremely helpful because these icons let you know that you have enough storage space and battery life left to capture your video before you start recording. I've recorded videos with the built-in camera app on my iPhone only to run out of storage space in the middle of my recording. Now, before every video I record, I always check these icons to make sure I have enough storage space and battery life to capture my video. The time code tells you how long you've actually been recording your video. The letters and the numbers to the left of the time code show you what frame rate and picture you're recording in. I'll go over the frame rate and picture settings in more detail later in this video, but with Filmic Pro, you can record your video in 720p, 1080p, 2K, 3K, and 4K, as well as several different frame rates. And this is where you can quickly reference what recording settings your camera is set to. So the features that we've covered so far were designed to give you much more control over the standard video recording settings than the built-in camera app on your smartphone provides. For me, this is entirely worth the price of the Filmic Pro app alone. However, Filmic Pro provides you additional features that allows you to control the creative aspects of your video recording to give it a much more professional and cinematic feel. The icons to the left of the timecodes tab allow you to control these creative elements. The first creative element is the color temperature and white balance settings. Now you can access these settings by clicking on the multicolored Venn diagram. Before you start setting the color temperature for your video recording, you should always set your white balance. Setting your white balance is a process of removing unrealistic color casts so that the objects which appear white in person are rendered white in your video. When the white balance for your recording is adjusted incorrectly, your recording will appear awkward and discolored. When the white balance is adjusted correctly, the images in your recording will appear just as they do in reality. So here's an example of an incorrectly adjusted white balance image and a correctly adjusted white balance image. The incorrectly adjusted white balance image casts a blue hue and a cold appearance. The image with the correctly adjusted white balance provides a much more natural feel. This makes a big difference for your audience on how they perceive your video and how they'll feel when watching it, especially if they're watching a video of a home walkthrough. You want to make sure that your white balance is set up correctly to give your audience an inviting appeal and experience of that home walkthrough. First of all, you want to set up your camera for the scene that you're going to record. Then hold a white piece of paper in front of your camera lens and hit the AWB button until it turns blue. This will allow your camera to automatically find the appropriate white balance setting for your scene. Once your camera has found and set the white balance, hit the AWB button again till it turns red to lock the auto white balance. This will prevent your camera from adjusting the auto white balance while you're recording. Locking the auto white balance is particularly important when you're recording outdoors. If you're recording in direct sunlight and clouds roll over your scene, your camera will adjust the white balance during your recording to match the scene. This will create a really awkward experience for your audience because your video will literally be changing colors as the clouds roll over your scene. Once you have set the auto white balance, you can select the appropriate color temperature with Filmic Pro's presets. Setting the color temperature refers to the relative warmth or coolness of the appearance of your recording. This is particularly important when you're recording videos of a home walkthrough. If a house is empty and its natural setting has a bluish tint with a cold feel to it, your audience might be turned off by your video. But by adjusting the color temperature of your video recording, you can manipulate the scene by bringing more warmth to a naturally cold environment. So let's walk through each one of these color temperature presets. The tungsten lighting preset adjusts the color setting to a cooler scene when your recording environment contains artificial lighting sources like a lamp or ceiling fixture that emits heat or produces a warmer reddish color. If your video recording appears too warm or contains a reddish orange tint, use the tungsten preset to cool it down. The overcast and the sunlight presets are pretty straightforward. The overcast preset is the best color temperature setting to use when recording outdoors on a day with a lot of clouds. The sunlight preset is the best color temperature setting to use when recording outdoors on a sunny day. The last color temperature setting is the fluorescent setting. Fluorescent lighting often emits a bluish or colder tint to your scene. Adjusting your color temperature using the fluorescent setting will add more warmth to this type of environment. This setting is ideal when you're recording in an office with fluorescent lights or of a home walkthrough with a bluish tint that has a colder feel to it. The target icon opens a camera setting that allows you to manually set the exposure, focus, and zoom for your camera. If you're unfamiliar with adjusting the exposure for a video recording, exposure refers to the amount of light that your camera lens lets in. If your camera lens lets in too much light, your image will appear overexposed, and it will be hard for your audience to make out the details in your image or the image itself. Similarly, if your image lets in too little light, your image will appear underexposed and your audience will have a hard time making out the details in the image or image itself again. Adjusting the exposure will let you find the sweet spot for the right amount of light for your camera lens to let in so your image appears in full detail. You can manually adjust the exposure and eyeballing to try and find the right exposure level for your recording, but as I'll show you in a second, the analytics feature on Filmic Pro simplifies this process by helping you find the perfect amount of exposure for your scene. The wheel on the right allows you to manually adjust the zoom and the focus. Just select either zoom or focus and then move the wheel to adjust zoom or focus. If you click on the target icon again and close the exposure, focus, and zoom wheels, you can use the square and the circle frames on the camera scene to let the camera adjust these settings for you automatically. Just touch a circle until it turns white and move it around on the screen until you find the exposure setting that best suits your scene. Then click on the circle again until it turns red. This will lock your exposure setting so it doesn't adjust while you're recording. Then click on the box until it turns white. Move the box to the object you want the camera to focus on. The camera lens will adjust to put this object in primary focus. Then click on the box again until it turns red so that your object stays in focus while you're recording. This will keep your object in focus in the event that another object enters the scene. The A icon opens up the analytics on the camera's interface. This analytics tab gives you the feedback on your recording settings to help you set up the highest quality shot possible. When you use the analytics tab, you can be confident that your recording has the correct amount of exposure and that the images that you want to be in focus are in focus. The top left icon on the analytics tab is the zebra stripes, which shows you overexposed areas with the red stripes and underexposed areas with the blue stripes. Adjust the exposure down if the analytics shows too many red stripes. Adjust the exposure up if the analytics shows too many blue stripes. For the right amount of exposure, you want to make sure you see as few blue stripes and red stripes as possible. The next icon is a clipping overlay, which shows areas of the shot that will show no detail because they are extremely over or underexposed. Adjust the exposure down if the analytics shows too much orange on your screen. Adjust the exposure up if the analytics shows too much blue on your screen. For the right amount of exposure, you want to make the main object in your screen lit up in green. Next is the false color overlay, which shows the overall exposure of the shot. The green shows the portions of the shot that are within the proper exposure range. Adjust the exposure up or down until you find the setting that reveals the most amount of green on your screen. The last analytics icon on the right is a focus peaking overlay, which will show you the objects in your shot that are in critical focus. Objects with a blue outline are in focus, and objects in green are in critical focus. Identify the object that is the critical part of your shot, and then make sure that object is outlined in green. So now that we've covered all the great video recording settings that Filmic Pro has to offer on its interface, the fun does not need to stop here. When you tap the gear wheel icon at the bottom of your screen, you are exposed to so many more settings, and we don't need to go through each one of these settings in detail, and quite frankly, you probably won't use all of these settings, but I will show you the settings that can be extremely useful when recording videos for your real estate or lending business. So let's start with resolution. Most cameras that are built into the most current smartphones have the ability to record in 1080p or 4K. However, Filmic Pro allows you to record in 1080p, 720p, 2K, 3K, and 4K. It also allows you to increase the video quality of your phone's camera by selecting Filmic Quality or Filmic Extreme. So to get the highest quality video recording, I always recommend using Filmic Extreme as long as your phone allows it. So being able to record in 2K, 3K, and 4K is likely to get most people excited, but let's talk about the aspect ratio setting. You can also adjust the aspect ratio of your video to several different formats. This comes in extremely handy when you're recording video for social media. Facebook and Instagram prefer content with a 1:1 or 4:3 aspect ratio, while YouTube prefers an aspect ratio of 16:9. If you set the aspect ratio for your video recording to the social media channel you will be posting it to, all of your video will be cropped during your recording. However, if you prefer to do video cropping in post-production, you can select a 4:3 or a 1:1 aspect ratio and turn off the crop source to overlay. This will allow you to record video in a 16:9 ratio while also using the grid on your screen to see what your video will look like in a 1:1 or 4:3 aspect ratio after it's cropped in post-production. Next, let's talk about frame rate. Frame rate is useful for two things: recording fast-paced scenes with a lot of motion such as sporting events, or bringing a creative quality to your video with a time-lapse setting. Most people prefer to watch videos with a frame rate setting of anywhere between 24 and 30 because this frame rate provides the most natural feel to the human eye. However, if you're recording scenes that are fast-paced with a lot of motion, 30 frames per second might not be able to keep up with the amount of motion in your recording. You can adjust the frame rate to 60 frames per second and the motion in your video will turn out into a much higher quality video recording. And as an added tip, if you adjust the capture setting to 60 frames per second and the playback feature to 30 frames per second, you will have yourself a very nice slow motion video. Just be aware that your entire recording will result in a slow motion video when you make this adjustment. You can also create a time-lapse video by using the time-lapse setting. Time-lapse videos condense a lengthy video recording into a much shorter video, and they are great for adding a fast-paced motion as a creative element. Time-lapse videos are typically used as a cinematic effect in videos and can be a great effect to add into videos promoting properties or neighborhoods. Just imagine recording a time-lapse video of the sun setting over a beautiful house you're putting on the market for a particular client. That is bound to make your social media posting stand out from your competition, and I guarantee you not many real estate agents out there in the market are doing that. So to effectively record a time-lapse video, you will need a scene that has a lot of motion in it, such as clouds, cars, or people walking. Then set up your camera on a tripod where it will remain stationary as long as you're recording. Then select the time-lapse setting and the desired length you want your final version of your video to be once it's condensed. Once you have selected the length you want the final version to be, record your video for the same number, except in minutes. For example, a 10-second time-lapse video should be recorded in 10 minutes. Filmic Pro will convert your 10-minute video recording into a 10-second time-lapse video for you. Next is the audio setting. This allows you to set up a microphone to record your video's audio. Filmic Pro's default settings are set to your camera's microphone to record the audio for your video recording. However, if you prefer to use a different microphone to record your audio, you can set the audio to record that device from here. So there are several settings within the device setting, but it's most useful for choosing to save your recorded video files to your phone's camera roll, as well as setting up a remote control. So if you would like to save your video files to your phone's camera roll in addition to Filmic Pro's video library, simply toggle the Save to Camera Roll setting on. The remote control feature allows you to control the settings on your camera from another device such as a tablet or a mobile phone. This is extremely useful when you want to use all of Filmic Pro's powerful camera features while recording yourself. Simply set up one device to record yourself. Then when you open Filmic Pro on another device, toggle on the remote control and when prompted, select the device you are recording from. You will then be able to see exactly how you appear on the screen, make adjustments to the settings of your recording, start and stop the recording, all directly from the second device. The Presets tab allows you to save your current video recording settings for future use. Simply click on the Save Current Settings as Preset and you will be able to save time by selecting your favorite preset instead of manually setting it up each time. If you record video on your smartphone using a gimbal, the hardware setting allows you to connect the Filmic Pro app to your gimbal and manage your video recording settings directly from your gimbal. The stabilization preset allows Filmic Pro to remove some of the shake from your shaky recordings. When you're walking around recording a video, you will notice that your recordings tend to have some shakiness to it. And this happens to everyone no matter how hard you try to hold the camera still. It's only natural for our arms to get tired and shake when we're holding a camera. And although the stabilization setting cannot remedy a drastically shaky video, it does help reduce some of the subtle trembling caused by tired arms and hands. The camera setting allows you to choose from 4 different camera lenses. You can use a wide angle lens to create a panoramic or landscape recording. Just keep in mind you'll need an anamorphic lens with an adapter to take advantage of this setting. The zoom and telephoto lens will narrow your shot and zoom your camera lens in on a particular object. Again, these settings are best used when you use a telephoto lens with an adapter. The selfie camera allows you to record video from the lens on the screen side of your phone. The final setting I want to bring attention to is a torch setting. When you record video from the built-in camera app on your phone, you have only one flash setting. However, with Filmic Pro, you have 4 different flash settings. Open the torch setting and select from the 4 different flash settings to find the best light that illuminates your screen. It's pretty awkward for your audience if they're watching a video walkthrough of a home where it looks like you're giving a flashlight guided tour. This torch setting will actually give you more flexibility to find the most natural artificial lighting to illuminate your scene using your smartphone. So there you are. That is my video tutorial on Filmic Pro, an app that I absolutely love to use for recording video for my smartphone. I hope you guys loved and gained a lot from this video tutorial. If you did, make sure that you give this video a like and make sure that you subscribe to Digital Dive with Homes for Heroes. That way you guys will get notified every time we release a new episode on YouTube. And if you guys are using Filmic Pro to create videos, I would be absolutely honored, and I would love if you guys would tag me in those social media posts. That way I can come over to your social media content, give it a like, and give you some encouragement, because I would be absolutely honored and I would love to see what you guys are creating. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Digital Dive with Homes for Heroes, and I look forward to catching up with you on the next episode.